The gentleman from Texas is recognized for as much time as he may consume.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today not just as a congressman, but as a service member and a friend to advocate on behalf of veterans and service members fighting a second battle that they never signed up to fight for. This is in support of H.R. 530, my legislation called the ACES Act, the Aviator Cancers Examination Study. And I want to first thank the gentleman from Michigan for being willing to give his life and serving in the military as a helicopter pilot. I want to thank Chairman Bost. I want to thank the ranking member and the majority leader, Mr. Scalise. You know, military aviators and crew members are tragically and unfortunately being diagnosed with various forms of cancer at alarming rates. According to a 2021 Air Force study and subsequent Department of Defense research, our aviators have a 29% greater probability of testicular cancer, a 24% higher probability of melanoma, 23% higher risk of prostate cancer compared to the normal civilian population. And those aren't the only forms. These aren't just statistics, they're real lives, real families, real sacrifices. And when brave men and women volunteer to defend our nation from the cockpit, they shouldn't face a second battle against cancer without our full support. This is why my legislation is so important. The ACES Act directs the Department of Veteran Affairs to partner with the National Academy of Sciences to conduct a comprehensive study on cancer prevalence among military aviators and identify the agents, the chemicals, the compounds, and the mechanisms in aviation environments that may be causing these elevated rates of cancer. By identifying specific risk factors unique to aviation environments, we can develop targeted screening protocols for early detection when treatment is most effective. And this means faster access to benefits and treatment for those diagnosed without the burden of proving their cancer resulted from their service. If every aviator received specialized cancer screenings based on their specific exposure risks, countless lives would be saved. To put this study's profound impact into perspective, picture this: a melanoma caught early and treated and cured sends a mom back to her family. Prostate cancer found before it spreads allows a doctor ample time to set up proper and more likely successful treatment plans. A testicular tumor found and removed in a routine screening designed for pilots versus in an emergency room situation gives the dad a chance to eat around the table with his family for years to come. This is what ACES makes possible. As an Air Force fighter pilot myself for 20 plus years, I've fought alongside the best the nation has to offer. But I've also stood in hospital rooms, watching far too many of my brothers and sisters fight their toughest battles, not in the air, but in the hospital rooms against cancer. And today I'm honored to be joined by a group of extraordinary heroes from our Air Force and our Navy, Americans who have raised their hand in support of our nation and volunteered to serve as pilots. These patriots who defended our skies are now fighting for their lives. The ACES Act is for them. It's for the families of those fighting who spend countless hours at the hospital and treatment centers and surrender everything to care for their loved ones and keep hope alive. It's for those that we've already lost, whose names we will always remember, who I will always remember in my heart. And it's for my dear friend, Colonel Andy Pablo Shurtleff, an F-22 fighter pilot, a brother in arms who at this very moment is fighting for his life against cancer. In March, Colonel Shurtleff testified before the Subcommittee on Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs, sharing how a promising career was cut short after a sudden diagnosis. And he explained that the earlier understanding of what causes cancer among pilots could have led to an earlier diagnosis in him, one that could have very well been instrumental in his treatment. The ACES Act has the support of over 20 veterans organizations, cancer advocacy groups, and medical experts because they recognize what's at stake. This isn't a partisan issue. It's about fulfilling a promise that our country made to those who are willing to serve, a promise that when someone serves our nation, we will serve them in return. Every day we wait means more aviators receiving life-altering diagnoses without understanding why, more families devastated by uncertainty, and more veterans fighting for the care they deserve. It's time to acknowledge the true cost of aviation service. The ACES Act is not just a bill. It's a lifeline for those who have already given so much for our freedom. It's a moral obligation, and it's a message to every pilot who's ever put on that flight suit to protect our skies, that we see you and we hear you, that we're here to also do the right thing. When I signed up to run for Congress, this issue was on my heart. When I signed up as a member of the Air Force, I didn't know that this was a potential issue. But there are groups out there like the River Rats, led by so many amazing pilots, men and women who were ready to give their lives, who are now trying to do the right thing. Mr. Aztec, Vince Alcazar, is one of those people who has really led on this issue. And I know that both my colleague from Michigan and myself, the ranking member, we know lots of people who were in a situation and are in a situation now that the ACES Act is that lifeline. I want to urge my colleagues in the Senate that once we pass this on the House floor today, I want to urge my colleagues in the Senate to do the right thing, to act this week. Let's send H.R. 530 to the President's desk this week and have it signed into law. Let's do something that many Americans think isn't possible, and that's act with speed inside the U.S. Congress. Let's keep our mock-up and do the right thing and send this to the Senate, get it passed, and get it to the President's door. I want to thank the chairman of the House VA Committee, Mr. Bost, and the majority leader, Mr. Steve Scalise, for acting with speed, for acting aggressively and keeping their mock-up, and I urge my colleagues to support this legislation and yield back.